Welcome, everyone. This is How Money Works Essentials. This is where you will learn to stop being a sucker when it comes to your money. My name is Shantae Moore. I am a certified financial educator, and I will be your presenter for today's session. I am going to try my best to keep this presentation to 30 minutes. I know a lot of folks are on their lunchtime schedule, and I just want to hit you with some key topics from a lot of the master classes that I teach about how money works. Is based on our book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. So just to give you a quick heads up in advance, I will be skipping past some slides. But if you're interested in some more specific topics, or if you want to learn more in detail about something that I might not go into detail about, just send me a message. Let me know however you connected to me through this webinar, and I'll be sure to connect you to further resources to help you with those topics. So first and foremost, the first decision that you must make is very, very simple. Will you choose the mindset of a sucker, or will you learn to think like the wealthy? Because it is a choice. And the fact that you've joined this class today is a sign that you're on the right track. And here's the great news. You do not have to be wealthy to think like the wealthy. You only need knowledge and action. And a key word in that sentence is action. Don't just watch this webinar and learn a lot and take a lot of notes. Think about how can you apply some of these concepts to your current financial situation. Oh, I want to talk about the sucker lifestyle really quickly, because a lot of people are trapped in this lifestyle, which is foolishly spending money and saving money in low interest savings accounts. And that goes on month after month, year after year. And it really sucks away at your potential to be wealthy, free, and in control. And every couple of weeks, this cycle repeats itself. You know, we get paid, we earn our income, we get a paycheck, and then we're using that money and we're spending too much money eating out. We're spending too much money making unnecessary online purchases. We're signing up for another subscription service. You know, most people know how to earn money and spend it, but that's all. You know, what about other options? So I want to go through this presentation to teach you how to break out of that sucker lifestyle by going through some concepts. I'm going to teach you about, I think, 3 or 4 concepts here that, again, I want you to think, how can I apply these to my current financial situation? So the first concept that I want to go through is the power of compound interest. And the power of compound interest refers to the growth potential of money over time by leveraging the magic of compounding, which is interest paid on the money that you earned before. So it grows, money basically growing on top of each other. Or as Zoe puts it here, is interest on interest. There's 2 types of interest. There's simple and compound interest. But the difference between the two are very, very significant. Simple interest means that the amount of money that you earn, year after year is the same amount. Compound interest, on the other hand, is not the same amount. It's actually interest that grows over time. So the amount it started with is smaller, and then it grows and it grows. And so that's how your money actually grows substantially. But let's look at an example. In this chart here, we're looking at somebody who's saving money over a 50-year time frame. Again, don't get hung up on the time frames. These are all just for hypothetical purposes, just to illustrate the concepts. So let's say you're saving money for 50 years. And you're going to start with $1,500. You know what? You say, you know what? I got this $1,500. I'm going to put it in an account that earns me simple interest of 9% every single year. And as you can see, over time, that simple interest rate, it doesn't grow much. That $1,500 only grows to $8,250. And why is that? And that's because you're only earning 9% simple interest every single year. That 9% is based on the $1,500. So if you actually pull out your calculator, like I'm doing right now, you take $1,500 times 0.09, that's $135. So every single year, you only earn $135 because it's always based on that initial deposit of $1,500. So it's not going to grow a whole lot. But on the other hand, let's say you take that same $1,500, but instead of putting it in an account that's earning the same 9% interest once a year based off that $1,500, you're actually investing and saving in an account that's giving you compound interest. And the compound interest, it operates differently. First of all, most accounts that give you compound interest, they don't pay you that interest just once a year. Most times, like the simple interest, they actually pay you once a month, monthly. It's a monthly compounding rate. It's monthly compounding interest that's paid to you. Um, and that 9% is based on the balance and the value of that account in the prior month. It's not based only on that $1,500 deposit. Over that same 50-year time frame, it's actually grown to $132,000, over $132,000. And the other point that I want to show you here is that it makes a difference on the back end. You know, a lot of folks, when they put money away and they say, oh, great, I'm earning 9% interest, they think that that money is just going to double and triple overnight. No, it takes time, which we're going to talk about in the next concept. But you have to keep at it, because on the back end, when the numbers get larger, that's when you're really going to see your growth take off, is in the later years of your savings plan. So I want to show you an example of why it matters where you actually put your money, because I meet folks all the time, they're actually saving money. You know, they're putting money away at their bank, or they might actually have a 401k account at work, or they're doing some investing on an app on their phone. That's all fine, but what I care about is what growth are you earning? What's your interest rate that you're earning? Because it matters. The amount, so for this example here, this is somebody who's age 25 and they're saving and growing money. They're saving month to month, the same amount every single month from age 25 to age 67. These are 4 different people. One person saving in an account that gives them 1% interest, another person saving it in an account that gives them 3% interest, another 6%, and the other is 9%. But these are examples of people who are using compound interest, which means, again, and it's compounding monthly. So every single month they're earning interest in their growth. The only difference here is that, and they're all saving the same amount every month. The only difference is that they're earning different rates of returns. So as you can clearly see, your rate of return could be the defining factor in how much money you actually accumulate. Why would you save money in an account that earns you 1% when you could save it in an account that earns you 9% and earn almost $900,000 more, according to this example? So let's talk about the next concept, the time value of money. Because time, it's the greatest asset that we all have in our life. And once it's gone, it's gone. We don't get time back. And the same applies to our money. If you don't save your money over time, that money that you could have earned is actually lost. And I want to teach you about how to take advantage of the time and why it's so important. And there's really 3 action steps that you need to leverage the time value of money. The first is that you start now, you save regularly, and you be patient. And I can't tell you how I have to stress this all the time because starting now versus later is always the best route to go, because it will make such a significant difference when it comes to your savings. I'm telling you, if you're trying to invest and save a significant amount of money, you have to start early. In this example here, we have someone who is age 22, Sarah. She's age 22. She's only going to save her money for 8 years. She's going to start when she's 22 and stop at age 30. She only put in $32,000 in that time frame, and she stopped. That $32,000 with the compounding interest, the compounding growth, then grew to over $1.4 million because she started early and she stopped. She was like, okay, that's enough. I'm just going to let it grow. In the example here, George, on the other hand, he said, you know what? I'm in my 20s. I'm having fun. I don't need to save money. I'll start when I'm 30. And even a lot of 30-year-olds aren't even trying to save money. But anyway, he says, okay, now I want to get serious about growing my money. I'm 30 years old. So he actually grows his money. He saves his money from age 30 to 67. But he didn't even catch up to Sarah. So he put in $152,000, and his money grew to just over $1.3 million. Sarah only put in $32,000, and her money grew to $1.4 million. So imagine if Sarah actually kept saving her money, she'd probably have multiple millions, maybe I would say probably about $5 or $6 million if she kept actually saving her money. So it matters again how long you grow your money. And here's another example because I like to break it down. I like to use this $1 million example because in a lot of people's heads, they think like, oh, if I had $1 million, I'll be happy. I can retire. That's why I teach classes to a bunch of young adults, like students who are just graduating or who are in college, because I want them to see these numbers. If you're a 20-year-old person watching this presentation or listening to the replay, and if you actually saved $113 a month, you're doing it in an account that earns you 9%, you are taking advantage of that monthly compounding growth. If you've saved $113 per month until you turn 67, you would very, very likely save $1 million. And you probably honestly would hit it before age 67. But let's say you decide to wait in life, because most people do. I would say most people get serious about their money when they're about 40, just in my experience, or just the people I end up tending to work with. To reach $1 million, now you only have 27 years. Whereas a 20-year-old, they have 47 years to save up to $1 million. But you're 40. Now you only have 27 years. You actually have to save $731 a month. Let's say you're 50, 55. Let's say you're 50, 55 now. I work with a lot of clients who are in their pre-retirement age in that group. I call that the retirement red zone, when you're about 5 to 10 years away from actually retiring. If you want to accumulate $1 million on your own, now you actually have to save almost $4,000 a month. The whole point is that the longer you wait, the more money you have to save. So I don't care if it's just $10 a week. Start saving something. Stop putting it off. I meet so many people who they come and say, well, that's great, Shantae, but I want to pay off this credit card first, or I want to pay off this debt first, or I want to send my kids to college first, or I want to wait until I buy a new house first. It's like, I'm not saying there's excuses. Those are 100% valid reasons. But if you're always waiting to accomplish something else and you're putting your retirement savings or a long-term investment savings goal on the back end, you're really jeopardizing yourself. I always tell people, look, I get it. Why can't we work on both of those goals at the same time? I'm not saying you need to slush away thousands and thousands of dollars, but just start with something. Your older self will thank you. Trust me, they will thank you when you're 10, 20 years later. And I'm just harping on this, but I have to, because the number one statement that I hear from a lot of my older clients, the ones who are in their 60s or 70s, number one thing they always tell me is, Shantae, I wish I started doing this earlier. I wish I started saving when I first got my first job. I wish I took advantage of my 401k when they first offered it to me. Because had I did that, I would have had enough money. I would have had more money than what I'm working with now. But I didn't learn until later. I didn't learn until my 40s or whatever to figure that out. They always tell me the same thing, so I know it's true. No, I'm not that older, but I thank God that people taught me. I started learning these concepts when I was 19 years old. I had a financial advisor, and thank God he sat down with me and talked me into saving $25 a month into a Roth IRA. Now, over a decade and some years later, that account that I started when I was 19 years old has grown significantly to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and all I started with was $25 a month. Okay, I'm going to move on and get off that topic, but I'm so passionate about it because I'm telling you, I don't want you to be coming and talking to me, 10, 15 years from now, like, Shantae, I wish I took your advice. I wish I started saving when I was younger. Don't make those mistakes that make people make. I'm just telling you, just start with something. It doesn't really take a lot. Start with something and grow from there. So, are we having fun yet? I want to talk about this is probably my most favorite concept to talk about because for those who don't know, I have a background. My undergraduate degree is in accounting, and I'm actually studying to obtain my MBA right now. But I never learned as an accounting and finance student. I never learned even now in my MBA classes. I still never was taught this concept that I'm going to teach you, which is the rule of 72, which means that as a business and finance and accounting education person, studying these things in school, and I didn't learn it in that realm. Where else is anybody else going to learn this? People who don't go to college or who study English or something else, like, you'll never learn this concept elsewhere. Not saying, I mean, and most financial institutions teach it, but very rarely do few people actually learn the rule of 72. So basically what it is, it's a mental math shortcut that wealthy people have known for a really long time. And I believe that everyone should know it. And it's just the mental math shortcut is to figure out how long will it take your money to double. So what you do is you simply divide any interest rate that you're earning on your current savings, wherever you put your money, whatever that interest rate is that shows up on your statements that you get, quarterly, or you should be getting quarterly statements at the minimum. Divide that into the number 72, and it will tell you how long it takes for your money to double. Now, two things to understand about the rule of 72. The rule of 72 can work for you, when you're saving and you're investing and you're trying to grow your money, but it can also work against you. And that's when we're talking about when you're borrowing money or when you have debt. So apply the rule of 72 to both sides. So for example, here at 1%, if you're earning 1% in your savings, it will take 72 years for $1 to turn into $2. Now that's a really long time. Now, would anyone knowingly choose that on purpose? Keep that question in mind. I'm going to come back to that in the next couple slides. And as you can see, the better rate of return you get, the faster your money can double. At 3%, it'll double every 24 years, at 6% every 12 years, at 9% every 8 years, at 12% every 6 years. I like those numbers. That sounds better than 72 years. But remember that question about the 1%? Would anyone choose 72 years to double? Well, yeah, a lot of people actually do unknowingly choose that. And it's because people don't know how money works. There's almost $10 trillion sitting in savings accounts. And those savings accounts average 0.09%, which is just a fraction of 1%. When CNBC did a review of our book a few months ago, this is one of the things that they pointed out to be almost unbelievable. Many of the actual institutional savings account rates are even lower. You might even see your bank here on the list. So, and again, that's something that I see a lot. Most people save a lot of money in the bank. I'm telling you right now, the bank is nowhere to grow wealth. Like, it's good to have a savings account, a checking account to pay your bills, maybe to use partially for an emergency fund so that you could quickly get access to money. But that's it. You really will not grow money using a bank. It just won't happen. They just don't give you the rate of return. So as I'm going to go through a couple things here, and then like I was kind of just harping on, at the average return of 0.09%, if you divide 72 into that, you're looking at 800 years for your account to double. And by the year, and that's by the year 2820. So as George says, his great grandchildren will love it. And just so we're clear, the same place that gives you 0.09% can charge you 17% or more for a credit card. So the banks are not stupid. They know how to take advantage of the rule of 72. That means that their money that they earn from you, because you have to pay that money back whether you have a credit card or a loan, they know that they'll earn that money back and it'll double over 4 years. But the money that they pay you on your 0.09% savings account will double in 800 years. Again, you can see why the subtitle of our book is Stop Being a Sucker, because you need to know how money works today, not tomorrow. You need to know today so that you don't have to take advantage of that. Okay, so after I called you a sucker so many times, you're like, okay, Shantae, I get it, but what can I do? So now I want to take you through the 7 money milestones, because like I said, it's important not only to get the education, but to take action steps toward working on your finances. And the 7 money milestones, it's a chart to have a step-by-step action plan to figure out how you can get to financial security, how you can get to financial independence. And each step is critical, to really help you. So because of this time we're spending together, you're increasing your you're increasing your financial literacy, concept by concept, strategy by strategy. I really hope that you're really learning that you need to take control of your personal finances. But once you have that confidence in knowing, okay, I need to make some decisions to, better decisions, now you'll be able to really discuss your situation with a financial professional, which is what I strongly recommend. Now, the first milestone is one that you're already on your way to completing, which is getting a financial education. But you also have to remember, if you have questions, so like I said, I'm sorry, I'm really rushing through a lot of this presentation, because I want you to be able to just think high level about your situation. And yes, you're going to have a lot of questions. And that's when you really want to turn to a financial professional to help you. Again, we know the stuff. I know the best thing for you to do is to combine a financial education with help from a financial professional. Take this education seriously. We don't learn this stuff in school. If you didn't come from a wealthy family, we don't learn it from our parents. And our friends, they don't know crap about money either. Trust me, I've seen a lot of people give other people bad, quote unquote, financial advice. You really need to treat your finances with the level of dedication that you put into your own health. You can Google things, ask questions, but you should really turn to someone that you trust who does this for a living. Work with somebody like myself who works day in and day out in teaching these concepts and helping families through these things. So the second step is having proper protection, which is milestone number 2. Now, when we're talking about protection, I'm talking about insurance, specifically life insurance. And you need life insurance because that will help protect yourself and your family from a possible future loss of income or savings before you begin the rest of this journey. So what does that mean? This means that this is the first thing that you should do when it comes to your finances, which is obtain a life insurance policy. And because the reason why this is so important is because if you were to die prematurely, your family could be left without your income in addition to being left without you. And more often than not, whatever savings that you do have, it will not be enough to take care of them. A lot of people ask the question, well, how much life insurance should I have? And that answer is totally different for everyone. It's totally based on your situation with your family. As a rule of thumb, we generally recommend having at least 10 times your annual family income. So for example, if you earn $50,000 a year, you should consider $500,000 in coverage. That should be a decent amount of money to replace your income. So remember, life insurance is not just about paying for a funeral. This is about taking care of your family when you're no longer there, because your greatest asset to your family is your ability to earn an income and to help support that for that household, whether it's helping with the mortgage, helping with kids, the everyday things that we use money to pay your bills, pay your light bill. If you're no longer here, where will your family get that help to continue living that lifestyle? That's where life insurance kicks in. And I think a lot of people don't think about life insurance beyond just, again, paying for a funeral. No, your family is still, they're used to you contributing and paying those bills, so life insurance will replace that for them. So again, how much do you need? Again, you can use the 10 times your income recommendation, or you can sit down with somebody like myself and we can really factor out specifically how much you need, because then we'll consider other factors like how old you are, how much debt you have, your health, how many children depend on you, you know, if you're a business owner, your role in the business, you don't want to leave your business high and dry, your business partners high and dry, and just your general overall financial situation. And the same people who underestimate how much life insurance they need, they have a tendency to overestimate how much it will actually cost. And both assumptions can keep families from putting any protection in place. And as Insure.com says, only 59% of Americans actually have life insurance, and about half of those are underinsured. So most people don't buy life insurance because they think it costs too much. And the ones who do, again, they don't have enough. They only have enough to pay for a funeral. They don't think about, well, how can their family continue on without their income coming into the household? So I'm going to skip through a bunch of these. I did a presentation on Life Insurance Awareness Month, which goes through in detail about life insurance. So if there's something you want to watch, I don't even think it's probably about a 45-minute presentation, but it goes into detail about the different types of life insurance. Let me know however you connected to this webinar, and I'll be happy to send you the link for that. So once you have milestone number 2 covered, it's time to tackle milestone number 3, which is having an emergency fund. Now, we generally recommend that you save at least 3 to 6 months of your annual income to prepare for any unexpected medical expense, for any unexpected expenses, like medical expenses. Let's say you need a new home appliance or repairs, or some major car fixes. And don't forget, you know, what if you lose your job? That happened to a lot of people here in 2020. And, you know, I know a lot of people are like, Shantae, I don't have any money to save or put away. I mean, and you're probably living currently paycheck to paycheck like many other people are today. Do not be embarrassed about that. A lot of people, probably about 99% of the U.S. population lives paycheck to paycheck. Your emergency fund could be the insulation that really saves you, though, from a financial disaster. And here on this screen, you could just check out some samples of how much money you should be saving. And there's really just 2 rules to the emergency fund. Rule number 1, the emergency fund is only for emergencies. That's it. It's not for gifts, not for getaways. It's not for buy one, get one free sales. And it doesn't matter if that emergency fund is sitting in your checking, your savings account, or a savings account. You know, this is, like I said earlier, I'm okay with this type of money being in the bank, as long as you're not tempted to use it for anything but a real emergency. And rule number 2 is that if you actually need to use your emergency fund to fix a car, to replace the fridge, or pay for braces, don't hesitate to use the money. That's what it's there for. I have a lot of people who, like, they might accumulate, let's say, $5,000 in emergency fund, and then their refrigerator broke down. They're like, oh man, I had to pay $1,000 for the refrigerator. I'm like, great, that's what the money was there for. Just make sure that afterwards you add back a little money every month until your emergency fund is full again. Step number 4 is debt management. And once you work with your financial professional to square away your proper protection and emergency fund, now we have to talk about managing your debt. Because before you can fully enjoy financial security and independence, you'll need to look at your spending habits and strive to reduce and eventually eliminate your debt. One thing I'll say is that the average American has about $30,000 in personal debt, and that's not including mortgages. And a lot of people have a whole lot more. And don't forget that over half of Americans suffer from some kind of anxiety relating to debt. You know, and I tell you, when debt is no longer a problem, that's really where we could fully enjoy life, you know, not having to have this big amount of money that you have to pay somebody else. And things have been hard with all that's been going on right now, especially here in 2020. So here are some 5 tips to eliminate and stay out of debt. Number 1, know what you owe. You know, I can't tell you how many people just this big pink elephant in the room that they don't want to look at. But know what you owe. You know, no more late payments, and try to pay off one debt at a time. You know, I see people that'll pay like an extra $100 to this account, another $100 to that account. Just put all your extra money to one debt and pay that debt off first. Stop charging money. You know, stop buying things you don't need. I mean, cut up your credit cards, put them in the freezer, freeze them up in an ice cube. And cancel unused subscriptions. I mean, there's so many little $4.99 a month, $9.99 a month, $13.99 a month subscriptions that we're paying for that we probably don't need. And then something you also might want to consider is refinancing your mortgage. So let's talk about milestone number 5, which is increasing your cash flow. And this really means looking at how to figure out how to get additional sources of income and being better about managing your finances. So a couple of ways that you can do this, I want to skip here, is there's really 3 things that, a lot of people can do. You can add a side gig. Earning additional income is almost a quicker way to reach your financial goals and trying to spend less. Because some people, I meet a lot of people who actually don't overspend. Like they're minimally, they don't buy things they don't need. They pay their bills, but they're just barely getting by. So having that side gig and bringing in that extra income will actually really help them. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but a recent survey here found that 45% of U.S. workers have a side gig doing something else outside of a full-time job that earns them a little over $1,100 per month. And maybe it's time for you to get in on the action, or maybe start a business, which is the second one you could do. There are a lot of low-cost business opportunities out there. As Steve Sebo says, he's the author of our How Money Works book, the co-author rather. He says, find a problem people have and solve it. But by becoming an entrepreneur part-time, you can leverage time outside of your day job. And as your income increases, a moment could come where you could actually transition away from being an employee to being a full-time entrepreneur, where now you can even control all your cash flow. And then if you're still going to maintain yourself as an employee, don't forget that you can adjust your W-2 allowances. Some people celebrate receiving a big tax refund every year. If that's you, you might actually consider adjusting your W-2 allowances. More of your cash could be in your paycheck all year instead of going to the IRS. But you want to talk to a tax professional first before you make any of those changes. That's something I can help you with. So milestone number 6 is a big one, and it's really exciting. It focuses on building wealth. This is your milestone where results appear on your bottom line. This is where you can avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation, and do your best to accumulate and grow your net worth. With the possibility of longevity adding so many years to your life, that brings up one question: will your wealth last as long as you do? And you should be able to answer that question. A lot of people are more afraid of running out of money than actually dying. And in addition to that, there are 4 threats that every wealth builder must conquer. And think of these as your wealth building enemies, and each will come at you from a different direction. But to beat them, we also have to address them individually. And the first one, which is the worst, which I talked about earlier, which is procrastination. As one quote says, procrastination can be hands down our favorite form of self-sabotage. And then we'll pick apart market losses, inflation, and then of course, taxes. I have to skip through a couple of this stuff. Sorry. Okay. So I do want to talk about how do we avoid the risk of running out of money, because that's the biggest challenge that we really have to overcome. And there are 3 components of a reliable retirement income. So if you're about to retire, or if you're thinking about retiring soon, I want you to consider all 3 of these elements. Number 1 is that you have to maintain potential for growth by participating in the upside growth potential. And one of the main ways that you can do that is having your money invested somewhere that's tied to the market. A lot of people, you have to choose investments, and of course this is work with a professional that can strategically grow your money. And the best way to do that is by leveraging the stock market. The second is to reduce or remove potential for losses. So while I'm telling you to invest in the stock market, we also don't want to not wisely invest, because then we could lose our money. So we got to figure out a way of how we can actually reduce or eliminate the risk of losing money because we're tied to the stock market. And then the third is to create a predictable income that will last your entire life. And again, this will reduce the possibility of running out of money in retirement when you have a guaranteed income stream that you can count on. Now, this is actually a strategy in itself. If you're interested in learning about how to do this, definitely contact me at the end. I will talk to you about it more in detail. But there are ways where you can grow your money. You don't have to worry about losing it, and then you can create a guaranteed stream of income. The 7 money milestone, I'm going to try to hurry and wrap this up, is protecting your wealth by creating a will and guarding your legacy. And this is something that a lot of rich people do. We know that famous people, Prince, he passed away in 2016. Aretha Franklin died in 2018. It's 2020, and both of their estates are still tied up in court trying to get figured out because they did not have an estate plan. So 4 basic documents that you should have would include a will, your financial power of attorney, an advanced healthcare directive, or a living will with a HIPAA release. And this is something that your legal professional can help you put all this in place with. I know that's something that we have resources that we can offer you where you can get all of these documents completely taken care of at a very, very low cost. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely let me know. But the bottom line is that having an estate plan in place can help you avoid the government making decisions about who gets your property and who takes care of your children. And the process that where if a court gets involved and if they have to figure things out for you, that process is called probate. Nobody wants to go through that if they don't have to. Trust me, you don't want to have to you don't want the courts involved with your money. And so this is one of the most important reasons that you need to put in an estate plan in place right away. And if you think estate planning, again, will be too consuming or time consuming, then you really haven't considered what that will cost or affect your loved ones down the road. And the truth is there are options for almost every budget. So again, this is something that you don't want to put off. You want to work on implementing this milestone right away. So I'm almost finished. I wanted to think about what concept resonated with you the most. That's why we started on this mission of eradicating financial illiteracy. And this is how you start to take control of your finances. We call it the money discovery. This is a worksheet. It's like driving directions on your mobile phone. You get 2 points of reference. That's all you need. Where you are and where you want to go. And the same is true to chart the course for your financial roadmap. And so in the How Money Works book, this money discovery worksheet is at the back of that. I can email you a PDF copy, a fillable, typable one that you can actually use if you want. And of course, I always recommend that you share this information with your financial professional to make sure that you're on track to reach your dreams. Discuss these concepts, review these milestones with a financial professional. If you don't currently have a financial professional to turn to, the first of the 7 money milestones is financial education. So since you hopefully read the How Money Works book, you've already started down the path of learning how it really works. And we can help you walk through the other 6 milestones. At our company, we do that in 2 steps. The first is the discovery call, where you'll spend about 15 minutes identifying where you are now in your financial life, and most importantly, where you want to go. And then my team spends a few days crunching numbers, searching the financial industry for the best products and services to meet your needs, and identifying the ones that best fit your current situation and future goals. Then we have a solutions appointment where we have a screen share and I walk you through the steps that I recommend for you to take to achieve your goals. So again, don't procrastinate. Set up a meeting. You can actually go to this link, www.bit.ly, that's B as in boy, it.ly/talk to Shantae. So www.bit.ly/talk to Shantae, and that's where you can schedule that first discovery phone call with me. Okay, so that's all I have for now. Again, I apologize, I ran a little over. I wanted to condense some of the information to try and fit a shorter time frame. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Take advantage of that discovery phone call if I'm not already working with you. And please share this video. Don't keep this information a secret. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.